Okay, so first we'll discuss today what all things we are going to do, and then slowly we'll start. Okay, so our first task will be for today discussion about this project. We'll understand functionally. Okay, so we'll like discuss in detail only, like what all things are there, how many API we are going to develop, what is our business scenario, what all security we are going to apply, what all process we will follow. So all those discussion we'll do today. Okay, then next, once we will do all the discussion, we'll go for Jira setup. Okay, so like if you go for any organization, like once they like do high level documentation of project, then once development task should be started. Before that, they divide that work into multiple sprints or multiple module. So same thing we'll do. So with the help of Jira, we'll create a sprint, and then inside that sprint we will create multiple story, and we'll see how we will manage Jira. Okay, then next we will discuss about Confluence also. Okay, so generally Confluence we use for storing all the document related to our project. Okay, so whatever requirement gathering, all those things happen, it vary from organization to organization, but most of the organization follow this Confluence. Okay, so in Confluence, like you can store all the documents related to project. It can be high level document, or it can be like project level document. Everything we keep here. Okay, so today we'll discuss about these three. Okay, and first we'll take for 2 hours, then we'll take a 15-minute break, and then we'll take 1 hour. Okay, so now let me start with this discussion of this project. Okay, now everyone has access of this particular folder. Okay, inside document everyone has access of this. Okay, so here you will able to see one project overview folder. Okay, so this folder contain our high level design document. Okay, once you will go inside this, here you will able to see that high level design document. Okay, now let me open this. So for everyone, you can go and you can check like you have access, like you are able to see this document or not. Okay, 1 minute. Actually this document is like not perfect correct one. Actually I did some modification, or maybe like after modification I haven't kept here. So what I will do, so this one is latest one. Okay, so here you can see like this document is related to our customer module. Okay, so first we'll discuss what all things we are going to do here. Okay, first thing will be requirement gathering. So first we will understand this functional requirement, and we'll decide complete architecture of this project. We'll decide how many API will be there. We'll decide what all process or standards we are going to follow. So all the discussion we'll do inside requirement gathering. Okay, next we will understand this project life cycle. Okay, so this part we are currently doing. We are understanding how project life cycle work. So first part will be requirement gathering. Then we will understand about this agile methodology. We'll discuss a bit about this agile methodology. Then we'll go for Jira setup. Then we will go for Git setup, initial part like document part we already did, but we need to do this git setup for all API also, or you can say application also. So for each application we'll create one repository. So we'll see how we will create one repository for each application and how we will sync that application with our Anypoint Studio. That part we will see here. Whatever we seen till this point, we did git setup, we connected with that organization what I created. But later on we'll see how we can create multiple like one repository for each application, and then how we can sync with this Anypoint Studio. One thing like at this moment, like at this point, like in last batch or few places I like seen few people have doubt. Okay, so few people have doubt what is application and what is Mule API. So whatever we are developing here, if you go inside Anypoint Studio, okay, if you go here and if I create one Mule project, so is this our Mule API or is this our like application? Can anyone tell me, like whatever I am going to create this, so what term we will use for this?
Application. I think it depends
API.
on connectors.
Sorry, it depends
I
on.
think it depends on connectors.
It depends on connector. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, it is application.
It will be
Yes.
application.
Yes. So this one is Mule application. Okay. Now this Mule application can contain multiple API. Okay. Whatever demo I created, this one is not API. This is application. This application can contain multiple API. Okay. So here inside this we can create multiple API. So this, don't be confused, like whatever we are creating here, this one is not API. Okay, like in previous batch few places I like few like students has doubt. They were thinking like this one is our one API, but this one is not our one API. This one is one application. It contains multiple API. Okay. Next, once we will do all this setup and once we will understand the requirement, then we will go for API lifecycle. Okay, so in API lifecycle, first thing will be create RAML. So what we will do, we will create RAML and we will publish on Exchange. So it's like first step of API development lifecycle. Create RAML, publish on Exchange, and ask feedback from your BA people or your from your client. Once they will give feedback, if it is positive feedback, then you will go for development. If it is negative feedback, then you will modify your RAML and then again you will publish on Exchange for feedback. Okay, if you want to see that diagram, then on internet you can easily find. Okay. So this is our API development life cycle. So it starts from design. Design means design of RAML. Okay. Then simulate means we are publishing on Exchange. Okay, so design means design of RAML. Simulate means publishing when we complete RAML development, we publish on Exchange. Okay, then feedback means we ask BA people or client to give feedback, and then we validate that feedback. If it is positive, then we will go for build stage. If feedback is negative, then again we will follow this cycle. Okay, next, once we will get positive feedback, we'll go for development and we'll do testing. This testing will contain your local testing plus unit testing. Okay, once you will complete development plus testing, then next step will be like securing your API, deploying on Cloud Hub or any other deployment model, monitoring. So once you will complete deployment, you need to monitor your application. Okay, if there will be any error, then you need to troubleshoot that error. And in management plane, like you will manage your API. Okay, so in this way, like we will follow all the API development life cycle.
Ravi, in case of testing, what kind of tests we are going to perform, like unit testing, integration testing, and performance testing? What kind of tests we are going to perform?
Okay, so here we will do local testing. Okay, then we will do unit testing. After that, we will do integration testing, and then at the end we will do performance testing.
So are we going to use JMeter also?
Yes, we will use JMeter.
Okay.
And again, that part like performance testing and all, we'll see based on our like bandwidth. Actually, that is not part of like MuleSoft development and all, but still I will give you for 1.2 API. I will help you to understand how we can do performance testing. Generally, that testing should be done by testing team, but yeah, as a API developer, you should also have idea of that JMeter like performance testing. Since you are developing your API, like your API should be more efficient. It should be like a response within fraction of second. Okay, so whenever you apply any complex logic or anything, then you should do performance testing of your API. Okay, so in normal scenario, your API should respond in 2-3 seconds. If it is scheduler API, then based on like what kind of scheduling it's doing, based on that it should perform like complete the activity. But in case of normal, if it doesn't contain too many business logic and too many complex functionality, it should return within 2-3 seconds. Okay, so hope everyone clear with till this point. Monitoring, no, that we will not cover. Yes. No, that also we will not cover. No, that we will not cover. That part, yeah, we'll see actually. Yeah, if we will like take care all those things, then it will take like 3-4 months. Okay, more than 3-4 months, like many things will come then. Here exactly like yeah, so what all things I am going to cover, so I will mention here. After that we'll see like if we will have bandwidth and if we can extend, then we'll see we can cover those things or not. Okay, so in development part, we will start from demo development, then we'll develop API using that RAML. We'll do local testing, we'll do munit testing, okay, then we'll do code checking, okay. So here I can add few more points, so not sure why it's not allowing me to edit this document, there is some problem. So after code checking we'll do deployment. Once we will complete deployment, we will apply policy, and after this policy we will do integration testing, performance testing. That two things I will include here, okay. After that we'll see, we can do one thing we already discussed, that CI/CD part. We'll see that we can do or not. And another thing we discussed just now, that is someone mentioned just now, that code review part, tool to cover, like to do code review, that part we'll see, okay. So in MuleSoft there are lots of things are there, but we'll try to cover as much as possible. For example, in MuleSoft there are many new things are like load balancer and all. For that actually we don't have license and all, so we will not able to cover that load balancer part, okay. Next, what is the objective of our this exercise? So we are going to simulate one real world scenario, that is our customer module, okay, where a solution architect document will be handed down. So like I already discussed, like we have this document, so at the bottom of this document we have entire architecture of this particular project. Next, make use of MuleSoft out of box capability. So in MuleSoft, like we have multiple components, okay. So we'll see which component will be more suitable for particular scenario, and we'll select that particular component. For example, to perform same kind of activity, we have like 2 or 3 components. For example, for looping, we have for each, parallel for each, okay. Now we need to, like whenever requirement will come, you need to see requirement, and based on that you need to take decision, okay. Let me draw one diagram to make it more clear. And like in an interview also you will get this question, when we should use for each and when we should use parallel for each, okay. Okay, so let's assume we have 2 scenario, okay. So we are getting one array, means we are getting one input, that input contain array of payload, okay. So each contain one you can say object. Inside this array we have object, similar kind of object we have, okay. So first I will ask to everyone, I want to see like your input, and then I will answer what should be best approach, okay. Okay, so as a input I got one array. This array contain like customer information, okay. So each object contain different customer information. Now I want to process this customer information, and I want to insert, means I want to do some mapping. For each object I want to do some mapping, and then I want to insert in database, okay. So what will be best approach here? If this sequence doesn't matter. Like for example, we have here object 1, here we have object 2, here we have object 3, object 4. So if this sequence doesn't matter, no matter like object 4 is inserted in database first, or no matter object 2 is inserted in database first, so which component you will use, for each or parallel for each? Okay, anyone else like who want to say for each we should use? Is there anyone who is thinking like we should use for each? Okay, so can you give me justification why you want to use for each? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so for our scenario, sequence doesn't matter. So I don't want in this particular sequence. I want like any object can go first. So for me it doesn't matter any sequence. So you are saying like if you will use for each, then it will go sequence by sequence. First this will go, then this will go, then this will go, then this will go. But as per this scenario, for like client, wherever we are inserting data, it can be database or Salesforce, wherever we are inserting, for them sequence doesn't matter. So why we will go for each? If we will go for each, then for each processing, if it is taking 1 second or 2 seconds, then how much time it will take? 2 into 15, I think 15 blocks are there. So 30 seconds it will take to insert all the data in target system. But if we will use parallel for each, okay, then what we can do, we can generate multiple thread at a time. Okay, for example, we are taking maximum concurrency equals to 5. Then what will happen? 5 object will be inserted in Salesforce or database at a time. So how much time it will take total? So total we will have 3 set, since in one actually we have defined maximum concurrency equals to 5. So we will have total 3 run. In first run it will take 5 data, then 5 data, then 5 data. So total time it will take 2 plus 2 plus 2, 6 seconds. And in the previous case it will take 30 seconds. So which one is more efficient? Second one, parallel for each. Okay, so hope everyone clear here why we should use parallel for each here. Okay, now I'm taking some different scenario, like where we have multiple components. Okay, but like which component we should use, like you can tell me. Okay, for example, in our API we have 3 external system, means API development we have 3 external system: external system A, external system B, or let's take 4 external system we have: external system C, we have external system D. Okay, so we have 4 external system. Now for each external system we need some input. Okay, so everyone can mute yourself, so like in recording you will not get any noise. Oh, I started recording on, yes I started. Okay, so this external system need request P. Okay, this external system need request P. Okay, this external system also need request P, and this will send response M. This one will send response. So whatever P, Q, M I am using, that is object. Okay, that you can like assume JSON object. Okay, this one is N. Request O. Okay, and here we have another external system. Oh, sorry. And here we have request. We need N plus M plus O, and response it will send Z. Okay, now we have one like we are developing one API. Okay, so we are developing one API. So in request means we have one HTTP requester. This one is our HTTP requester, sorry, HTTP listener, our entry point. Okay, and this one getting request O. Okay, now to call this API and to get response from this API, our SLA is 5 seconds. Means this API will send response in 5 seconds. Okay, for this API this API will respond in 7 seconds. For this API, SLA is 3 seconds. And for this API, SLA is maybe 4 seconds. Okay, and this like our main API. So this API will take all the processing activity, like it will complete in 2 seconds. Okay, let's assume it will complete in 2 seconds. So can anyone tell me like what will be total time for this complete execution? How much time it will take? Seven seconds. Okay, anyone else? So first answer we have 7 seconds. Okay, okay, let me take all the, so we have one option 7 seconds, another option we have option B 11 seconds, uh, 2 second, 2 second. Yes, yes, so we have another option 13 second, okay. So SLA means once you will deliver your API, so you need to provide them one estimated time, like your API will return in this particular time. Okay, so if your API will not return in that particular time, then you are breaking that SLA. See, whenever someone will use your API, so they will also have some expectation, like you should respond in within that second, or your API, like you should know like how much time your API is taking on an average. Okay, for example, you develop any API and that API is taking 1 minute to respond, then it's not good practice. Okay, so whenever like you connect with any third party API, okay, so they will give you their SLA, like they will return in this much of time. Even when you will deliver your API, they will ask like what will be your maximum response time. Okay, so you need to tell them like this, your API has this much of capacity, like it can return in 5 seconds. So we are like, there will be one agreement. Okay, whenever you will deliver your API or you are using any third party API, so there you will make some agreement. Okay, if your API is not, for example, you are consuming any third party API, and due to that third party API, your API is giving response in too much time, and someone like who is consuming your API and they are saying your API performance is not good, but you are not responsible for that if third party API is not working correctly. So in that case, there will be agreement between third party API and MuleSoft API, like that third party API will respond within 5 seconds. So there will be one service level agreement. Okay, if that API will not return in 5 seconds, then you will send timeout to customer who is calling consuming your API, and you will give reason like that API, that target system API is timed out. So what you will do, after 5 seconds you will not wait for their response, you will set timeout and you will return back. Since that API can respond after 5 seconds, but they are not responding as per their agreement, so in that case you can't wait for their API till 1 hour or 2 hours. If they are responding within that particular time, then you will take response and you will send back to calling system. Okay, so generally this kind of agreement, like when you will go for like architect level, or means when you will design your like API and all, then you have to do this kind of discussion also. So like it depends on like project to project. Like in my previous project, what we are doing, we are calculating time also, whenever request will in and whenever request will out. So we'll means we are checking what time we consumed. Okay, and then in this log we are logging that time also. It took 7 seconds, that processing took 8 seconds or 9 seconds, whatever time it took, we are displaying there. Okay, and no, that we can test in Postman. Okay, if you want to see in Postman, you will get, like if you want to see how much time your API took, so you can call any API. Okay, and you can see response time there. So here you can see it took 1166 microsecond. Okay, so same way, like you can see here how much time that particular API took to process. Okay. Okay. So till this point, like we got 3 answer. Okay. So anyone want to justify this answer who still thinking this one is correct? Anyone want to justify this one? 11 second. Yes. 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 Yeah, but as we discussed, like our API will also take 2 seconds for processing. There will be some mapping, there will be some other activity that will also take 2 seconds. So yeah, then it will be 13. Okay, so what we will do here? So we will use one scatter gather here. Okay. So after getting request, what we will do? We will use scatter gather and each branch. So once we will configure this scatter gather activity, we will have multiple branch. So in each branch, what we will use? We will use HTTP requester. Okay, and since you can see here for A, B and C, everywhere request is PPP. Okay, these 3 API need request PPP, means these 3 API are not dependent on each other. When it will be dependent, so here you can see this D API, external D API, it depends on output of A, B and C. Once we will get output N, M and O, then only we will able to call this D1. So this one is dependent. Okay, so we will not able to do parallel call for D, but we will able to do parallel call for A, B and C. Okay, so what we will do? We will use scatter gather and we will call A, B and C. Okay, and once we will get response from this scatter gather, okay, once we will get response from these 3, then again we will configure one HTTP requester. Now at this place we will have all this response N, M and O, which is required to call this API. So we will call so here we will again use HTTP requester, and here we will call this API. Okay, now once we will complete all the processing, there will be like some other processing in between, like here we will have database transformation, inside this also we will have database transformation, at the end also we will have database transformation. Maybe sometime we need to apply some filter condition also, so those processing will take some time. It may take 1 second, 2 second or maybe fraction of second. So that time will also be added, and then we will calculate our final response time of this particular API. Okay, So this will take option C 13 seconds. Okay, so hope everyone clear with this. Now what other option we have here? So instead of this parallel call, we can make sequential call also. So in that case, what will happen? Technically it will not be it will not give any error. Okay, functionally also it will work, but performance wise that will not be a good performance. Okay, so what we need to do, if we will do sequential call, like first we will call A, then we will, once we will get response back, we will call B, once we will get response back, we will call C. Then how much time it will take? 7 plus 5, 12 plus 3, 16 plus 4, 20 plus 2, 22. So it will, that if we will do sequential call for each external system, then it will take 22 seconds. But using this scatter gather activity, we can make our our API can give better performance. So in this way, we need to think all the out of box capability what we have in MuleSoft, and we need to use that. Now there may be another scenario where we are getting like huge number of object. Okay, like we are getting 1000, 2000 object. At that time, if we will use this for each also, then that for each parallel for each also will not be more efficient, since this parallel for each is not parallel for each was different one, what we discussed first time. Okay, so in that case parallel for each we can use, but that will not be more efficient. Why? Since parallel for each don't has capability to handle error scenario. So in that case we have batch processing, and we should use batch processing. So based on scenario, based on requirement, you need to select which component is more suitable or which component you should use. Okay, so for that part you should have good understanding of all the MuleSoft component. So here in this training, most probably we will discuss, I'm not sure how many component will be involved, but whatever component will be there I will explain, and then I will configure. Okay, but still there there may be some component which we are not able to consider in this training, since like that component will come when we will have that particular requirement. Okay, so in this 30 API, whatever requirement will come, based on that we will select best component and we will use that. But whatever remaining components will be there, you need to understand and you need to learn by yourself. So where you can check all the available component, here you can see inside code. So here whatever component you can see, all component has some functionality, their capacity, like so you need to identify which component should be more suitable at that particular situation. Okay, now so I'm not sure like how many of you already worked on business error. Okay, so to raise business error we have one component, that is raise error component. So this kind of component also you should, business error you can say, or custom exception. Okay, for example, like there is some business requirement, if that particular person age is less than 18 year, then throw error. Okay, so if age is less than 18 year, then you will not get any technical error. Okay, but if you have business requirement, then you can use this raise error component and you can raise error at this particular place. Okay, so same way you need to understand each component. We'll see how much component we will able to use in our project. Whatever remaining component will be there, you can like learn from MuleSoft document, and there may be like many YouTube video for each component, you can learn from there. Next one is include previous best practice experience when coming out with this solution. Okay, so like once you will work for one project, you will move to another project, you should always use like whatever you learned in your previous project. Okay, so whatever best practice you followed there, so you should follow that best practice in your next project. Okay, and slowly like once you will go from one project to another project, in that project there will be some different structure and different thinking. So you need to identify what all previous practice you can use there. It's not always mandatory, like whatever approach you were following in previous project, same approach will work here also in new project also. Okay, it's not necessary, but whatever like new things, like not new things, whatever things you already did in previous project and you find that that one is like a very good thing to make your API more better, then you should use that one. Okay, for example, for me also, like whenever I move from one project to another project, whatever I see like in new project, if there is anything that that approach is not good and in previous project we were following good approach, then I used to suggest like we can go in this way. Same way, like many things I am learning with the new project. For example, in like my previous project we were not following fragment concept, but that one is very helpful, fragment one. Okay, to make any component reusable on project level. Okay, so in previous project, yes, fragments in Dremel. So in previous project we were creating other reusable component like traits, data type, resources, but we were not using fragments. But in my current project we are using fragment, so I like this one is better approach than previous project. And there are few places I identified where like whatever approach we are following, that one is like not good. So like I used to like tell them like this one is not more efficient, we should go in this way. Okay, so same thing you need to do to like to improve your knowledge and other knowledge also. Okay, it's not like you, if you will share then other will come to know that if you should not keep that mentality. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm not like saying everyone like doing this, but you should be more open. Whatever suggestion, feedback you have, you should share with team, you should discuss with team. Okay, and always means try to make healthy relation with your all the team members. Okay, now okay, let me encourage. Is it good now? Yeah. So make use of design center to create Dremel project and design Dremel specification. Okay, so what we will do, like we will use design center to create Dremel. Okay, then we will publish on Exchange and we'll take feedback. Okay, and again when we create Dremel on design center, we have multiple way to use that Dremel while creation of our Mool application. Okay, first option we have download that Dremel and import that Dremel as a jar in your Mule application. Another option we have, we can take from design center directly, or another option we have, we can take from Exchange directly. So we have multiple way. So based on project and based on scenario, you should decide which one is more appropriate. Okay, but nowadays like what I observe, like Dremel from design center is more popular, many people follow that one. Okay, now organize and create the Mule project based on the business scenario and solution described in the document. So whatever functional design document we will see, based on that we will organize project and business scenario, and will try to like first we will organize everything and then we will go for development. Create Mule message flow, making use of MuleSoft component connector. So when we will design our Mule flow, we will use MuleSoft component connector. Okay, implement a solution based on scenario and specification given in the document. So this part is done. Now once we will complete our development, so what all step will come? First we will do our local testing, that we will do with the help of Postman tool. Okay, next we will write munit. Okay, and will like do testing using munit. Once we will complete both local testing and munit testing, then we will go for code commit. Okay, we will do commit of our code and then we will deploy on Mule runtime. Okay, create Mule message, this one is done, and munit testing is done. Test script, so like either we can write test script for like testing, okay, or we can directly call from Postman, okay, but we are going to call using Postman or SOAP UI, but we will use Postman tool only. Test script part I am not good, so we are not going to do that, but if someone from testing background, if they can help to write test script, then we can see that one also. Okay, generally like when testing team do testing and all, they used to write test script using some technology like Java, or there are few technology they can Selenium or some technology are there, okay, they can write test script. Okay, then at the end, once we will complete deployment, we will apply security and all the policy and all, then we will demo our working application. We'll see everything is working fine or not, and then we will extend and enhance our application in real time. Okay, we'll see like how feasible it's in real time. Okay, till this point anyone has any doubt, then let me know. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so generally testing team, actually whatever testing we will do till this point, we will do in development environment. Okay, then we will, once we will complete everything till this point, whatever we completed, whatever we discussed, we moved our code in development environment, we tested from our side. Okay, now once we will move our code in SIT environment, then testing team comes in picture. Okay, so every project has like mostly every project, 99% project has their testing team. They do testing on SIT environment. Okay, so they also like they used to have very good knowledge of functional side. Okay, as a developer, like till 3-4 year of experience, what I observed, like I was more focused on success scenario. I was not thinking on failure scenario, error scenario. Okay, so we are just focusing, like I'm saying about junior resource, not everyone. So generally junior resource focus on success scenario, they complete success scenario and then their API is done. But whatever focus you are you put on success scenario, if you are putting your focus like 30%, then 70% focus should be on error scenario also. Okay, if something will went wrong, then how you are handling that particular scenario. For example, you are calling two system. In one system you are let me think. For example, you have one business scenario where you are redeeming coupon, okay, and then you are calling another system where you are informing that this coupon is already redeemed, and now remove the value of that coupon, make that coupon expired. So you are calling two API. First, in first call, like someone is redeeming that particular coupon and they are like getting particular discount. Once that part is done, then you need to call one system where you need to update that particular coupon is redeemed. Now remove the value of that coupon or make it expire. For example, like your API is working, means someone called your API for redeeming coupon, you redeemed that coupon, but when you call next system to make it expired, due to some technical reason that call failed. Okay, now what happened, that particular member redeemed that coupon, he did his whatever purchase he want to do, he made that purchase, but target system where that value should be expired, that is not expired. Next time he will go and he will use that coupon again. Okay, for example, now 1000 user got this kind of like same scenario they got. So what will happen with client? I'm just giving one example, like so whatever concentration we are giving to our success scenario, you should give double 2 time concentration in your error scenario. If your success scenario will not work, it will not lose your business. But if error scenario will not work perfectly, client may lose very big amount. Okay, so those kind of thing, like generally, like as a developer, it's our responsibility only, we should consider all those things, but testing team do this kind of verification, like whatever we develop as per their business requirement or not. So generally they are involved in SIT and UAT testing. In UAT testing, like either testing team will be there with end user, or maybe directly end user or BA people will do testing. Okay, so that part SIT and UAT generally developer don't do. There should be some separate team to do that, and then finally it will go for pre-prod and then production environment. Okay, fine then. So we are done with sorry, your question is not clear. Can you tell me again? Yes, yeah. Okay, fine. Yes, 13 second. Okay, so see, as I told here, like yeah. So as I told here, like we have 4 external API call. Okay, maybe it can be external API call or external system call. So for each API call, we have one request, one response. So if you see request of A, B and C, we have request P, and we are getting that request here. Okay, in our API call we are getting that value in our request. So these 3 call are not dependent on each other. Okay, if we will do sequential call, technically it will not give any error, that will work, but performance wise it's not good practice. If those are independent of each other, why not we will go for parallel call. Okay, so what we will do parallel call for these 3 API, and if you see maximum time, okay, scatter gather for this it will take 5 seconds, for this branch it will take 3 seconds, and for this branch it will take 7 seconds. So once all branch will be completed, then only this scatter gather will be completed. So first branch will completed in 5, but still that scatter gather is not completed since third branch is still in progress. Okay, so third branch will take 7 seconds to complete. So in 7 seconds all the branch will be completed. Okay, so we should take maximum of all these 3. So here we have 7 seconds. So now this processing completed in 7 seconds. For this processing it will take 4 seconds. So 7 plus 4, 11 seconds. As I told, this particular API will also take some time to do its processing, and we assumed like it will take 2 seconds. Okay, so 11 plus 2, 13. So that's why this will take 13 seconds to complete its processing for this particular API. Is it clear now? Is it clear now? I'm not getting an answer, so I'm moving. Okay, now project life cycle. Okay, so like what all things will be there in project life cycle. So it start from requirement gathering, then after requirement gathering what all things you can see, like till here, this will be API development life cycle. Okay, so in API development, this is part of project cycle also, but here to here it's a part of API development life cycle. Okay, so requirement gathering, then YAML creations, like we already discussed this thing. So development, local testing, unit testing, code checking, deploy application on Cloud Hub, apply policy, move code to higher environment. So like in every project minimum you will get this much of environment. Okay, dev, SIT, UAT, production. In few project you will get pre-prod also, but that depends on client and their decision. Okay, everywhere you will not get, since it's they need to arrange one more server or one more environment. That will be, there will be some expense there. Okay, so some client can afford that expense, some client don't, but ideally like there should be one pre-prod environment that should be very similar to production environment. So what will happen when code will be in pre-prod, we will able to see all those things like performance and all, since that pre-prod environment is similar to production. So before moving to production we will able to have like real-time experience how my production environment will work. But you can say like 50% client don't use pre-prod, since they need to manage one another server. That will like cause huge amount of like you can say investment. Okay, simple integration testing. This one is user acceptance testing, and then sorry, yeah, oh, so system integration only I told. No, I told something else. Oh, I told simple, I think. Okay, yeah, system integration testing. Yes, yeah, actually no, we will discuss, yeah, we will discuss till dev. Yes, integration testing. Yes, we will discuss till dev, since we don't have SIT, but we will do similar kind of testing here, but we will create only one environment. We don't have that much of code. In trial version we have only one code. Okay, so we'll not able to create multiple environment, we will able to create only one environment. Okay, that all environment will be same. Okay, everything should be same, only like generally in this integration testing team do this kind of testing, maybe sometime functional team also do, or in worst case as a developer you also need to do. That depends, but most of the case like 90% of project there will be testing team and they will do SIT. UAT generally functional team, they used to do this testing with the help of testing team. Okay, now till this point we haven't discussed about this particular project. We discuss about like common approach we should follow for all project. Now we'll start about this project. Okay, let me break this recording.